Do not compare Limp Bizkit to Nickelback.
I would never.
What a start.
This is not the start, because I had a start.
That's the intro. No, I'm kidding.
No. Up is not on the list. It's down, as they say. The original Toy Story is not on this list. The Good Dinosaur, it's been buried for a very long time.
I forgot that existed.
Yeah. So did everyone else.
But you know what is on this list? Spoiler alerts, all 3 Cars movies.
Yep. And spoiler alert, they are 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. Hello, everyone. We rank the Pixar movies because we may not get another one after the next one.
Yeah, you're right. Is this like a farewell to Pixar, our farewell to Pixar video?
I think this is us just in case they farewell.
Get ahead of the news.
And then we said, how do we say goodbye? Should we rank all of them? And we said, no, we should just pick our top
just
10.
the ones we like. Well, we went through the list, and JD successfully bullied Zach to not put Up.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I do like these other ones better.
Right.
Good.
But a lot of people will be upset that Up's not in the top 10.
Listen, do we want to 10.5 the first 15 minutes of Up? Sure. Go for it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But we've already discussed this.
Yeah, this is old news.
It's just a weird movie that starts very sad and then ends up with murdering a
I
guy.
think it's like if The Good Dinosaur started really great.
Yeah. I already hate...
I'm a little upset by this one too.
Yeah, I said this off the record, but I'm putting it on the record.
Good, please.
Number 10 is Toy Story 3. I don't know how it made the list.
Me. It's my fault. 100%.
And here's the thing. I know what you're saying. You're thinking, kind of Toy Story movie on here.
Mhm.
Sorry, another spoiler alert. We do.
Yeah, we do.
We have the best Toy Story movie on here, and then we have this one. And I just think it's muddied the list a little bit.
If you have emotions, it taps into them.
I love this movie.
Mhm.
Do I think it deserves to be top 10?
Yeah. I do.
It's a great emotional into a franchise that they have decided that does not need to end.
It's
and
never
frustrating.
Which I completely agree with that. Yes.
So it
should die.
It just hurts a little bit to even go back and watch, knowing, man, they had it right there, and they just
That's a good point because it should have honestly ended up the second one is what you say.
Yeah.
But now that we know they're making Toy Story 5, kind of takes away of everything that happens in Toy Story 3.
There's some good things in this one. I love the addition of Ken. I think Michael Keaton. We just talked about Michael Keaton a couple weeks ago. Fantastic. I think this movie looks great. It's got another killer Randy Newman soundtrack. We are coming from a spot where I saw this movie was in theaters as I was graduating high school, and that I think a lot of that plays into that. There's a lot of you know what this is? It's the opposite of Up. The last 10 minutes are devastating.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I was just like, oh yeah.
It's the backwards.
So it's, to me, I don't know, there's some cool stuff. I think there's a good cast. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. It's okay. It's on the list. Should Luca have maybe been in this spot?
I think
Maybe.
Luca could have made it. I could have made an executive decision, but I didn't.
Didn't.
Should.
Sorry,
but
Luca.
Luca is great.
Luca
if you
is
haven't seen
fantastic.
Luca yet, go watch it.
I've not seen it.
How are you in this video if you haven't seen Luca?
I haven't seen
Well, Zach, before he started to roll, said, I think this is the only list that we've all seen every movie.
If Luca was on it, that would have ruined it.
Number 9 is Soul, which just blew me away. I mean, it was released during the pandemic, so a lot of feelings about the end of life and death and everything. And this was just hey, we're making a movie about death for kids. But most of the movie's not even about death. It's just about him wanting to prove that his life was worth something. And I think that's a very good story to tell kids. Yeah. And they handle it in such a way that it doesn't ever feel like that. To a kid, they're just going to see a dude went to the other world and just is having a little adventure.
It looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the movie that they finally said, I don't know if we're going to do any better than this, people-wise and environment-wise. We should just go more cartoony. Because after this, you really it's a lot. Yeah. You don't have anything else kind of like this that looks so realistic in its portrayal of, it's exaggerated, but it just there are moments that feel so real in the real world, and especially in a movie when like half of it takes place in some otherworldly thing. It's a nice contrast because you're so like heady and trippy in like the afterlife, and then you're like very grounded. Really good cast too. Yeah.
And outside of Randy Newman is probably the most good music.
Man, that music's
that
Trent Reznor and
Atticus Ross.
Yeah.
Atticus Ross
and John Baptiste.
Yes.
And that like It's Alright, like that version of that is so good. Man, it really because it's all about music. It better have good music because it needs to. It's all about that.
The ending made me say wow out loud. Like, I can't believe a Pixar movie ended like the way it did.
Yeah. Number 8 is probably the one I've seen the most just because I have a daughter. Turning Red, which I think is like, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, for kids. Like very young kids. Yeah. So, but also it has a red panda and has basically a kaiju scene, which is just really, it's just a really fun, good movie with great heart. It does get cartoony, but I think it lends itself to the cartooniness.
And that wasn't like a bad thing. I just think that, because honestly, I get a little tired of the very realistic looking animation, but this really does embrace its own style. It's very like anime inspired and like early 2000s cartoons, and it's just really good. It really is, I think, like one person's complete vision. Mm-hmm. And story,
which you don't get that often in Pixar, because it's usually a collective that comes up with ideas. So.
And I even just because we also all kind of were old enough to know like boy bands and that kind of life, and so to really like, it really is. You're like, oh man, I remember the day when you were making mixed CDs for your friends and
frosted tips.
Yeah, frosted tips. It was Band-Aids on the cheek.
Oh gosh. All right, number 7, we have the other Toy Story movie on this list, Toy Story 2, which, as Zach alluded to, I think should have been the end of the Toy Story movies.
I don't totally agree, but I think Buzz needs. We've never gotten a really great Buzz story. That's a whole nother video.
Yeah.
I mean, Buzz, I guess, now has his own movie,
and it wasn't good.
And it was not good, and it wasn't like the Buzz in these movies.
Yeah.
So this one's just so good. I really think it takes what Woody learns in the first one and kind of challenges him even further. And it's just, it looks great too.
It makes you cry. Just like all the other Toy Story movies.
Makes you cry.
I don't, look, everyone says these movies make you cry. I've not cried to a single one.
Have you seen Toy Story 2 since you've had a daughter?
Yeah.
And you don't, and the, like...
We watched all 4 of them, and I just was like...
Nothing?
And then When She Loves Me didn't just break your soul?
I understand why it connects with people, but for me, I just don't see it. And that happens with everyone. With everyone could be there are some people out there that think Mission Impossible movies are not great action movies.
Well, those people
they're wrong, obviously.
That's factually incorrect.
But I'm probably in the minority in this, when I don't think the Toy Story movies are revolutionary in terms of story. Like CGI, obviously, they changed the game.
Yeah.
But for me, I think they're just very, middle of the road. I like them, but they don't make me feel any type of way. But also, I'm the guy that thinks Requiem for a Dream is like the perfect movie. So
it's just, I mean, there's so many good things about this movie. The soundtrack's great.
The really cool Zurg prologue.
The Zurg which the guy who directed the Lightyear movie, that was his part.
Didn't know that.
When he animated Toy Story 2. There's just behind the scenes story, the idea that like this is a movie that kind of saved them from just being direct to DVD sequels.
Because they almost did it.
And it's just, and I mean, God, it has like one of the best, goofiest lines. Like, I can't believe I got to drive all the way to work on Saturday.
All right, number 6, we have Finding Nemo, which I think from beginning to end is just a perfect little movie. This is his Toy Story.
Maybe it's maybe.
Really?
No, I think there are some solid parts in Finding Nemo. Mm-hmm. I just don't think I care that much.
Wow.
See,
it's like a perfect like hero's journey. / father.
And that's what's strange is even watching as a dad, I'm just like, it's sad in the beginning. They try. That's the problem with Up is we've already gone through this with Finding Nemo a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think it has one of the all-time Thomas Newman scores. There are parts that I love about this movie. Maybe it's the fish in the ocean thing for me that I'm just like, I don't care.
I realize as we're doing this list, I apologize because we're just bashing these movies. This is our top 10.
No, so you guys saw it. I think it's got a great cast, a great soundtrack.
I was 10 when I saw this in theaters, and I thought it was mind blowing. Like the animation and all that.
That might have been it. That might have been the fact that like I was maybe starting to
where you rebel. Yeah, you
I was
rebel
starting to
a bit,
like I saw it and then I get pulled back in by another movie we'll talk about, and I think I'm just not a Fish fan either. The band are really.
Well, I think you're onto something, because when Toy Story came out for me, I was just like 12, 13, and I was like, oh, I don't need stupid kid movies, even though I was still watching them. And so maybe that's part of it, but also it's just like, also nostalgia always plays a part. Number 5, we have Ratatouille.
This is a good one.
Chef's kiss, you know. Anyone can cook.
Anyone can cook.
It's a weird movie, though.
Yeah, if you try to explain it, it sounds like a pitch from the 80s.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and really, if you don't know some of the stories behind Pixar, you should go like listen or watch or read or something, because really, this is their first this is the first movie that they like. It is Disney, but they're kind of like, we can do whatever we want, and they're like, let's make a movie about a rat who like can control a person, and Brad Bird is just like, yeah, let's do it. And they do it on a very short span. It's an incredible feat, knowing kind of the behind the scenes, and also it's just fun.
Yeah,
and this movie's a blast.
It's a movie and it doesn't have to make you cry.
It does, yeah, there's not really like a sappy.
Do I cry? Maybe near the end when they're reading the review, when he goes is writing his review, a little bit, yeah, but it doesn't have to be like no one dies, no one's learning anything. They're just like, hey, you know what? This guy can cook.
You can cook.
Yeah, I think our top 5 is indicative of what people want Pixar movies to be.
Yeah.
These are what everyone's looking for. You get the fun, you get the emotional, you get the great CGI. Number 4, I think it has everything. Coco.
Ooh.
Coco.
And it throws a twist in there.
Exactly, yeah. It's got a twist, it's got great voice acting. Yeah. When the boy goes to the underworld and gets like stuck there,
the afterlife.
The afterlife. Well, it's the underworld, whatever. Again, there's a million words for the dead world. But anyways, Day of the Dead, when he goes down there and he meets everybody, and it's just so fun down there, and he's having a blast, and you're seeing the movie from his perspective, and when it finally breaks his perspective, you're like, wow, this is a heavy movie.
Yeah, and then that little the last song will just ruin you.
Well, and to just like they set up "Remember Me" in such a goofy and comedic way, at the beginning with
what's his face,
Ernesto de la Cruz, that like when you get to the end, you're like, this is the same song. Like it's just really good. The whole soundtrack is so good.
Yeah, and
I tell people, like, I can't even like watch this movie anymore because it makes me cry.
That's why I haven't watched it
every
since.
time. I watch this movie over and over again, and every time like I get sucked in and I love it, and it's not even the "Remember Me" part that makes me cry. It's the end. It's the end when his family is accepting of him, and like his dead family's there too, and he's got the song about being proud of who you are. I'm getting emotional just now.
Number 3, we have The Incredibles, which I actually didn't watch until like a couple of years ago for the first time.
What'd you think as an adult?
I thought it was all right.
And then you watched it again and you're like, yeah, this movie is awesome.
I think it's fun, but I think having watched all the Marvel movies, by the time I watch it, some of the stuff The Incredibles did is baked into the MCU, so you're just like...
Syndrome may be one of the best bad guys like ever. Like, it just be like, you sly dog, you had me monologue.
And then Brad Bird as what's her face? Edna?
Yeah.
Man.
Brad just stomping onto the scene. I love Brad Bird, but it's...
I would argue this is the funniest Pixar movie.
I think we're going to talk about the funniest one next, but...
number 2 is the funniest.
I don't remember what it is. But this was also the first one where it was humans as the lead characters. Because I remember in like Toy Story that humans look freaking weird. And then everyone was like... Because I remember, for some reason I remember this as a kid. They're like, oh, humans in a CGI movie? It's going to look weird. And they were like, no, this movie's beautiful.
And first PG Pixar movie, too.
That's right, yeah.
So many fun
It really
facts.
is like Brad Bird really has been like, animation's for everyone. Check this out. And also Sam Jackson.
All right, number 2 is the funniest, Monsters, Inc.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. Take it back. Yeah, this is funny.
Which is just, as I said with Coco, I think this also from front to back is just
so
perfect. A perfect little movie. Kids will enjoy it. Adults will enjoy it. Jokes for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got John Goodman and Billy Crystal and Jennifer Tilly, 3 iconic voices just right there.
Steve Buscemi.
And Buscemi.
It's just
Yeah.
the two, like this movie. I can probably quote this movie front to back. Like it is so funny, so perfectly buddy cop, and like really, I think this is when you start to like kind of cue into like Pixar makes movies that are like things you've seen before, but they're like, what if it was a buddy comedy? Like, but they were monsters and they were just working 9 to 5. You know, like
They have a job.
it's just Crystal was, I mean, to me MVP of this movie. Like he has to go so big so everyone else seems so grounded and emotional. Like he has a tough part to play because he really is being asked to like, no, you don't like any of this.
Yeah. You know what it made me think of just now is Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Because Reinhold's character is basically John Goodman's character in Monsters, Inc. And then obviously Eddie Murphy plays up his comedy for it. Man.
The child's laughter wins the day.
Child's
adorable.
It is an adorable laugh.
And I love how they juked everybody. They were like, we're doing a sequel, but it was actually a prequel.
I have my thoughts. I think it is
good.
a good movie. It's a good
Yes.
movie. But I love Monsters Inc. so much that we all know that Mike and Sully, that Sully's been jealous of Mike's good looks since the 4th grade. And then that doesn't hold up in the prequel.
Going on. Oh,
Wally. I think, I mean, like, this is when people think of Pixar movies, it's probably the first thing that comes to mind.
their
I
best
would
one.
say Toy Story, but
Well,
if you ask what's the best Pixar movie, this is the first thing that comes to mind.
that's what I meant.
Yeah. Man. Just weird, too.
Yeah. And
Wild.
we've alluded to it in a previous video that it was basically a silent movie for like half of it. So the fact that they could entertain kids for that long when there's basically no like voice. I mean, obviously the movie's playing in it and Wally makes his little chirps and stuff and Eva shows up. But it really is just a great movie.
It's like a heady sci-fi movie. Like really heady for children. And they pull it off.
Yeah, it's a movie that is like risk after risk after risk, and then they're like, credits are only, what else should we do? Risk. Let's put a Peter Gabriel song in it. It's just like, I've said that before, and I'll keep saying it. It's wild to me that this movie's so good. I love it. Also, does this movie make you cry?
No, this one doesn't make me cry either.
I don't remember.
I don't know if I cry in this one, but it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I think Coco is the one I ever really got truly emotional to.
I get it.
But I think there's just something, I think Wally's probably also the most cinematic to me.
Yeah.
And like so much like movie in it that like even from the starting credits and that Hello Dolly track just drops and it's like out there and it feels so movie to me.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love it so much because we love movies here.
We do like movies. Yeah. And this is a movie.
We're a movie group,
Movies, man, they're cool.
Now I got a question before we go. So Elio is obviously coming out next year.
Yeah.
Looks okay. I mean, who knows? Could be bad, could be good. You don't know at this point with Pixar. How do you think they get back to being Pixar? What is the thing they got to do?
I hope Disney gets rid of it and Pixar's just Pixar. That's what I hope.
Well, they can't now. They'll just close it down.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I
think one, you take a break. Honestly, we don't need a Pixar movie and a Disney movie competing, 1 and 2 just every year. I don't care. I just think they need to like take a break and go back to the drawing board. Disney was still distributing them, but like they could do whatever they wanted. Those years they really like thrived, and they built things out for a couple years, and once that kind of dried up, that's when things I think started a problem. So I think you take a break. You maybe find a one-person. You need to find a Kevin Feige. They used to have that person. We will not talk about that person.
Oh yeah.
And I just think that's the issue. They just need to find someone who is dedicated to bringing on new voices, keeping some of the old voices that make sense, and just letting them all kind of work together or like work on their own. And I don't know.
I think you're right, but Disney reserves the waiting for their own movies. Because, Frozen took like a 5-year period to make Frozen 2. So it's like, I think they're prioritizing Disney over Pixar, especially when I can't remember who the Pixar person was like, yeah, we sort of got people used to Pixar being on streaming, so they don't want to go to theaters.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of reset the mindset.
Yeah.
So taking a break probably would help. I'm
talking like 5-6 year break. Get like ahead of a lot of projects. Also, just stop with the sequels. I don't need Inside Out 2.
Does that actually happen?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't need Toy Story 5 unless you're going to do it better than Toy Story 4.
Good luck.
Do you think the 5 is going to be the S in Toy Story?
No, it's going to be the T.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Of course it doesn't make any sense. We've talked too long about these movies.
For Toy Story 10, it's going to be 10 and 50.
Un esercito di prodi